Sorry about that.
No worries. Good to see you.
Oh, good evening. Good evening. If you want to know what's going on, lots of things that's been going on behind the scenes today. I've been I've been out earlier on, and when I went out, I thought, oh, I'll go and sort my glasses out, but I never did that. The next minute, as you can see on my glasses, everybody still got the plaster there. And also, because it was lockdown and I can't go out. And also, I thought, oh, I'm going to watch the England game tonight at 8 o'clock. Then next minute, I thought to myself, right, I'm going to have my tea now before Warren comes on. And all of a sudden, when Warren came on, I was having my tea. He said, "How are you?" And I was there going, ah. So I apologize for that, Warren. That is very rude of me.
No, don't worry. It's good to see you.
Yeah, how are you? You all right?
I'm good.
Good,
I'm good. Yeah.
I want to talk about parenting. Let's get the bits and pieces out. Yeah, what is good parenting?
Well, that's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? That's what every parenting book is written about, and every parenting podcast is about. It's the biggest challenge, determining what is good parenting, right?
Yeah. So, what is good parenting?
I would say it's supporting your children in becoming whoever it is they want to become. That's if you were to kind of funnel it down into one statement, that's how I would put it.
Right.
And everything else goes into doing that, making them feel supported and confident, and helping them to develop skills, helping them to find their passions, supporting them to develop those passions and skills, ensuring that they become a good human being so that they can have a social network and a successful career and all those sorts of things. All of that is really just narrowing it down to ensuring that you support them to become whatever it is that they want to become.
Yeah. When they're young
Mm-hmm.
and when they're then they go into their teens, some some parents say to their, son or daughter, they go, right, you're going to get a job working for my company because um, this company was my granddad's, then it was my dad's, then it
Mm-hmm.
was so and so. And sometimes they don't give them an option, do they?
Yeah.
You don't have an option, do you? Sometimes
You're
they
you're
don't.
you're preordaining what it is they're going to be in their lives, and I'm not a big fan of that. So my family has a family business, and my dad and I agreed when we were growing up that we should not work together. That it wouldn't work from a personality perspective because we're two very determined and, we'll say, strong-willed individuals, and we wouldn't have worked well together. But at the same time, what he did just wasn't for me.
Yeah, yeah.
We both worked in finance, but two completely different areas of finance,
Right, okay.
and it just there was no push from my dad to become a part of the business. We both agreed that we had different paths, and that's kept our relationship really strong. I idolize my father.
Mhm.
Don't take anything
So
against
have
him
you
for.
got so have you got your own business? Do you have
Yeah,
if you have got your own business, do you have people working for you
yeah,
underneath you?
yeah.
So is that quite a few?
I have 4 people that work for me.
Right, okay. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why about the questions. I'll tell you why. It's because sometimes when we're business people, I remember when I used to have my own business doing cleaning, and when we got children and everything, we never have the time. It's always our business, comes
Hmm.
first, or we kind of like we let business get in the way. We take it on with us,
Yeah.
and we say to our children, "Sorry, I ain't got time because this piece of work has got to be in and
Yeah.
everything." You
It's even
know,
worse now that everything's remote,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because everybody has a home office. And so I leave my downtown Vancouver office, I go home and I walk straight into my home office, set my computer back up, and it's right back to work. Like if I wanted to, I could work 24 hours a day. And there
right,
but
okay,
I try and separate the two and make sure that I stop. I think to preordain what our kids are going to do from a profession perspective now is fooling ourselves, because the world is changing so fast and the professions that are available are so different from what they were, that model of passing down and inheriting a business and doing the same thing that your father or your mother did historically was something that worked 50, 100 years ago. It doesn't work now. I mean, the number one thing that kids want to become when they're asked in school today is a YouTuber or an influencer. Like those are the top two things that the professions of choice. It's not firefighter or astronaut or scientist, doctor, lawyer, anything like that. It's YouTuber or influencer, right? Or
so
streamer on Twitch. And it's a different world in terms of what professions will be available to kids 5-10 years from now. The world is such that whatever their passion is, they can figure out how to make a living off of their passion.
right, okay. So, what do you think? What is the most important? What's the most importance of parenting? What do you?
I see the screen, the thing rolling across the bottom about consistency, and that's the biggest thing.
Right,
Consistently showing up. That's the best possible thing you can do, is make sure you are always there, you're consistently showing up, you're consistently being a part of your kid's life, and that you are consistently helping them to develop what their dreams and goals are.
right, okay, okay.
Sometimes it's really hard, right? Because there's 1,000 other things that are pulling us in different directions, whether it's our own personal careers, our own personal aspirations, the relationship with our spouse, the relationship with our friends. There's lots of things that pull us away from dealing with the stuff that our kids want to do. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. Self-care is massively important when you're a parent. But
Yeah.
being
Oh,
able to come back from those things and be present in what your kids are doing is definitely the most important thing.
so, what do you say? What is a bad parent and a good parent then?
Oh, that's a tough question. Um, I would say bad parents are either neglectful, absent, they're uh, angry and destroy self-confidence, those sorts of things. Good parenting is a much broader spectrum, because each child requires different things from their parent, right? Some require constant attention from their parents. Some need more independence. And so the bad parenting is really easy to identify. Good parenting is just being there when your child needs you and ensuring that you support what their dreams and goals are.
Right. Okay. So, which parenting style is most effective then?
Well, okay, so there traditionally there were 4 parenting styles. They've grown it out to 7 now. Okay, so the first 4 that they came up with were authoritarian. So that's like a dictatorship over your
Right.
kids. Lots of yelling, very little back and forth communication, my way or the highway sort of thing. Authoritative, which is firm and understandable guidelines, right? Very well and clearly defined rules with regards to the house, consistent implementation of those rules, that sort of thing. Then there is permissive, which is kind of just letting your kids do whatever they want to do. More coddling of the child. And then there's neglectful or absent, which is just not being a part of your child's life, not providing them with the things that they need. The next couple things that they added were free range parenting. So that's allowing your child the freedom to make all of their own choices, right? You support them in those choices, but you give them free reign to decide how and what and how they're going to do things.
Right.
Then there's helicopter parenting, which I'm sure you've heard of, right? Those are the overly protective, kind of like overly involved parents that don't allow their children to get hurt or to take risks or anything like that. And that tends to stunt children's emotional and psychological growth. And then you have what's the last? I'm trying to remember what the last one was. It will come back to me. But when they've done the analysis of these different frameworks, the different parenting styles, authoritative, so the idea of clear but firm boundaries with communication and a good relationship, like empathy, that sort of thing, that tends to be the best parenting style.
How about be a good role model?
Oh yeah, modeling is one of the best things you can do. That goes outside of style. It goes into just being an example. So modeling appropriate behavior is incredible, and that can be one of the most difficult things. A lot of parents are the do as I say, not as I do type, and I'll say myself personally, I'm guilty of that many times. But modeling is incredibly important.
Sorry?
Guilty of the do as I say, not as I do.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Right? Not necessarily being the greatest example, but making sure that my kids understand what I'm doing isn't the right thing that they should be doing. As an example, I'll have, or I used to have the occasional cigar, right?
Right.
And my kids would come up and go, Dad, you shouldn't smoke, right? It's bad for your health. I'd be like, well, no, I understand. Cigars aren't as bad as cigarettes. You should never have them, but your dad enjoys the occasional one. And that was very much a poor modeling moment. It was a do as I say, not as I do moment. And so, I've since eliminated the cigar smoking, but I know that in my past I've done a lot of things where it's kind of like that do as I say, not as I do. And it's not the best methodology for parenting.
Right, okay. Down here, where is it to on my notes? Know your own needs and limitations as a parent.
Yeah.
Ooh. What do you think about that?
That's a big one. That's a really big one. That goes right into the parental self-care. It's so important. You can't properly take care of your kids if you're not properly taking care of yourself. If you allow your health to go, your mental health to go, if you're not ensuring that you're ticking all the boxes with regards to your own satisfaction, following your own passions and goals, there's no way you can be a good role model for your own kids. There's no way that you don't have the capacity to deal with their emotional and physical needs if you're not providing for your own at the same time. So
do you think you're a good role model as a father?
I would hope that I am most of the time. Right. I know that sometimes I am not. Sometimes, whether it be yelling or other things, I have been a poor role model at moments for sure. Right. But I am always working on being a better role model. I mean, that's the whole idea of my podcast, the Flawed Dad's Guide to Parenting, right? Is recognizing that I am flawed, that I am far from perfect, but that these imperfections are something that I can constantly work on. And it gives me, it gives me the tools to become better at being a parent, right? That was the whole idea of creating this podcast. When my daughter started to go sideways with regards to suicidal thoughts and those sorts of things, I knew that there was something I was doing in my life that was not working. And so I started to really focus on what can I do as a parent to get better at this, right? And a part of that is recognizing the areas where I was being a poor role model, right? I was emotional. I was aggravated at the fighting in our house. I yelled. I was a contributor to damaging self-confidence because of the way that I parented. And so I needed to take a step back, look at myself and go, Warren, you got to do a lot better at this.
Yeah, but you're not the only one, Warren.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, that's fathers out there who are the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's taken. I mean, we're 40 episodes in now, right? Which is 40 hours of recording conversations about being better parents, plus all the research that we've done to do those episodes, and all the stuff that we've implemented afterwards, right? Like when you take that much time to do something, you really intensify your improvement in doing something, right? It's like taking a university course on parenting, and it's been amazing, and it has been so good for my relationship with my kids. It has been so good for my relationship with my wife, right? So last night, as an example, my oldest daughter was throwing an absolute fit. She's 10 years old, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs at my wife, right at bedtime, right? Just completely refusing to go to bed because she wants she wants to play on her iPod, right? And Rachel walks out of the room and is just done with it. And normally I would have blown my top. I would have been like, you've made your mother angry. Like, these are the consequences for this. Like, I'm so angry with you, all this sort of stuff. But because of all the work that I've done on this, I was able to go in, calmly explain to her what the consequences are going to be if she continues, and have a conversation with her about what does she need right now in order to get past this. And de-escalated the situation within 2 minutes, right? Completely shut down the screaming, got her to calm down. And what she needed was a hug from her mom. And so I became the middleman who negotiated that's what was going to take place. Went back up, talked to my wife, explained to her what was going on. She went back down, hugged Navina. Night went fine from there, right? There's no way a year ago that would have been possible for me without taking the time that I did to improve and to be a better model.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Because my next question was coming up was boosting your child's self-esteem.
Oh, it's so important. I mean, not to the point where we make them like egotistical, narcissistic monsters, but self-esteem is a huge thing now. With, you think about the amount of exposure that they have to the world with technology, right? And the level of criticism that they are under from so many people that they don't know, people that are anonymous, but it still means the same amount to them, right? And through technology, people are so much more willing to provide that criticism. Even their own friends, right? People that they consider friends are more likely to say something as a keyboard warrior, sending them a message rather than saying it to their face. And so at home, you have to be the provider of that self-esteem. You have to be that safe space for them. You can still provide critiques and areas of improvement and those sorts of things. I think we should all be improving, but you also have to be that safe place where when they come and say that, somebody is told them that they were ugly or whatever, that you're the one that's going to go, no, sweetheart, you're beautiful to me. And then provide praise on all the things that they work on, the things that they are actively working to improve. Like, it's not just that you're beautiful, sweetheart, it's that you're kind. You take the time to treat people properly, and you boost up the other areas that they're really good at stuff. To make sure that they feel confident about who they are as individuals.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
How about communication? How about, are you good at communicating with your children?
I wasn't, but I've gotten way better at it. It took me a while to develop the skill set to be able to communicate with my kids.
Right.
But now I'm much better at it, because you have to, if you're going to communicate with your kids, you have to learn to shut up. You have to learn to just shut your mouth and listen to what it is they have to say, even if it takes them 10 minutes to get out what should have been said in 30 seconds. And recognize that they don't speak the same way that we do, right? When we speak with intention. They're not necessarily speaking with intention. They're speaking from emotion. They're speaking from the reptilian portion of their brain where they're expressing the emotions that are going on inside of their head, right? So they're not necessarily trying to manipulate, even as much as we assume that they're trying to work us. They're trying to get out what's going on in their brain, and they don't necessarily have the language and the vocabulary to do it. And so reframing what it is they're saying to understand the underlying emotions that are taking place is so incredibly important.
Right. Okay. So if anybody's listening out there about being a good parent or anything, what do you say to them?
Be consistent, show up, and support your kids' hopes and dreams. Just help them find their passion, because that will turn into a happy life for them. And isn't that what we really want for our kids? We want them to be happy. Happy kids are successful, and they will pass that down. They'll pass it on to their spouses. They'll pass it on to your grandkids, to your great grandkids. Help them embrace their passions.
Good. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Well done.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It was a great chat, Steve. Thanks so much for the awesome questions.
Well, it's I thought to myself, what am I going to do? And then next minute I thought, oh, let's go on to parenting. And I thought, well, so I took it off Google. So
those are really good questions. I really enjoyed it.
Sorry about that.
I always enjoy chatting with you. Thanks so much for having me on every week.
It's okay. Do you know what? I can't understand it. On my radio, I get quite a lot of views. Listeners on my radio.
Yeah.
On Facebook and stuff like that, it's like drips and drabs.
Mhm.
Especially us, right? But then next minute, the views keeps on going up every week on my podcast page.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think, what's going on here, And next minute, it will go down if we're talking about some sort of. They can always tell, if we're talking rubbish or we're talking kind of like really good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you've got to find out the balance of things, ain't you?
Oh yeah, it's hard. It's nice. It's nice when you get comments and stuff. Like a couple shows ago when we had a whole lot of questions. That's always nice to have the audience interaction. So anybody who's listening, the interaction, we really appreciate it.
That's what we're going to do next week. Actually, I've got something big next week for you.
Fantastic.
I've got something really lined up for you next week.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, but I can't tell you. I'm going to surprise you with it because it's like a quiz type thing. Better fun with it, right? And you will be surprised.
Fantastic.
Anyway, guys, I'm going to go because I tell you why. I'm going to watch the football because England. Hopefully, England will beat Denmark tonight, and so I'm going to go. I am back around about 10 o'clock tonight. Sorry? 10 o'clock tonight. And so until then, I'm going to have a little break. And and I'm going to watch football.
Enjoy. Go England.
Yeah, go England.
Okay.
Go England.
Bye, Steve.
See you later. Bye-bye. Take care. Go England.